All right. Well, good evening, everyone. It's Brian Zimmerman here, executive editor of Jazziz magazine. And I just want to welcome you to another episode of the Jazziz Last Call. If you're watching along with us on Facebook and YouTube, and the Jazziz Backstage Pass podcast, if you're listening in the audio version, we've got a great episode in store for you tonight. In a minute, we are going to be joined by a powerhouse husband and wife team consisting of drum legend Dave Weckl and Italian vocalist Clivia Tanisi. Together, they have released a brand new EP called Love's Way Back that is just a thing of beauty. Dave, was named one of the 25 best drummers of all time by Modern Drummer magazine. He's a fusion icon that has played with the likes of the Chick Corea Electric Band, with Mike Stern, with Lee Ritenour, with Steve Gadd, with a host of others. And his instructional videos on drumming have become kind of essential viewing material for aspiring drummers. Clivia Tanisi has been performing as a jazz vocalist since she was a child in her native Italy in a variety of styles: jazz, R&B, soul. She took a break from singing for a while to perform the hardest and most rewarding job in the world, that would be raising her two amazing daughters. Now she is back with this 5-song EP. We're going to be hearing from them both. They are joining us from Italy. We like to joke that this is the world's earliest last call. Well, it's like 2 a.m. over there, so it really is last call for them. They're here. I've got my bourbon at hand. What do you say we go one more round with Dave Weckl and Clivia Tanisi? Hey guys, are you there?
Hey,
We're here.
Hello. Thank you. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. Like I say, it's late over there, but it must in a lot of ways feel like the old days of being on the road in the clubs out till 2 a.m. So thank you for staying up with us and having a round with us. As our viewers know, one of the first things we do on this show is a toast. We celebrate someone, some place, some idea, something. So who, what, where, when, why are we honoring with this first glass?
Okay, well, we didn't know about this, so I'm afraid all I got is the plain water, and we've only got one. But what we're going to toast is us seeing each other actually for the first time in 6 months, because the pandemic kind of just slammed everything. We were supposed to be together at least 3 or 4 times between February and now, and of course it couldn't happen. So,
and to the health
yeah,
that we have.
yeah.
I love it.
So I found out that I could come, and so yes, we're toasting that. Just got here last night, so the timing for me is not so bad. It's jet lag anyway. It doesn't matter.
Right.
So,
You don't know what time it is. Yeah. Well, cheers to that.
Cheers.
I guess salud. That's right.
salute.
Salute.
Yeah, okay.
Salute. And before we move on, let me remind people watching, please let us know where you're watching from. Say hi to Dave and Clivia. We already see people chiming. Jonathan in the UK, Byron from Colombia. Let us know where you're watching from. And I also want to know if you've seen Dave in person, a concert. If you've seen Clivia in person at a concert, let me know when, let me know where. Let me know how it changed your life, because I'm sure it did. And also, I don't have to be the only one asking questions here. If anyone watching online has a question for Dave or Clivia, write it in now, and we'll get to it at the end of the show. All right. So the new EP is really good. Love's Way Back. And, it is, Clivia, a kind of a comeback story for you. That is awesome. So Dave and Clivia, I'm kind of curious about the conversation that led to the start of this disc. Hey, let's do this. Let's record something. Let's get it going.
You want me to tell the
Yeah.
story, or you want to tell the story?
No, you tell the story
I tell
first.
the story. Okay. Well, it's quite a long story actually, because we met about 11 years ago, actually almost to the day, and I was on tour with Mike Stern, and this lovely lady came to see the show, and the rest is history, as they say. I had no idea she was a singer until 5 years after we were together, maybe. I had no clue. But she was just her energy and her love for the music was so inspiring that it was wonderful. And then I found out that she sings. Actually, that's not true. I knew that you sang because you did
Yeah.
you did a gig. You told me,
Yes.
yeah, but you kind of were keeping it from me, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, and it was, you know, she's got 2 lovely daughters that she raised, and so she kind of took off the time, as you said, from singing. And over the last few years, I've been encouraging her to just get back into it for fun, if nothing else, and to do it. And she found the courage to practice and get back into it. And I said, well, hey, let's just put together this. Let's just do some songs. Pick some songs, and I'll help produce it and get it. Get a little 5-song EP going, and we'll just throw it up there and have some fun with it and try to sell it and blah blah blah. So that was it. She agreed. She picked the songs, and I'll let you tell the story about the songs, because there is a story behind the choice of the material. And I enlisted the likes of George Whitty, who's just an amazing talent.
Awesome, keyboards,
guy, producer who's played with everybody, and he and I go back to the Westchester days and playing with the Brecker Brothers occasionally, and Chris Mendoki's band, and we've had a lot of history together. And George is one of the best arrangers out there, so he took these songs and just made them fantastic.
Yeah.
And then enlisted my brother Tom Kennedy on the acoustic bass, and our friend Bob Franceschini plays sax on one of the tunes. So we threw it together, and that was kind of it. And then we were gonna put it up, and just do it ourselves, put it on TuneCore and blah blah blah. And these friends of ours, the Silverman Brothers in St. Louis, were putting on a show last year for my band, a reunion band, and we all had met there. She was with me in St. Louis at the time, and she really wanted the Silvermans. I love these guys. I want them to help me, figure out how to sell this. And long story short, they invited her to be on their label, on Autumn Hill Records. So then it kind of turned into, oh, this is kind of like for real. We're going to put this out, and put it on a record label and do, and they've been terrific. And Mike Wilpazewski has been terrific. I think he's the one that actually got this together for us to do it. So this little interview and hang here with you guys. So that's kind of the story. We did a lot of the recording here in our little room that I had put together in Italy, and we did all the vocals here, and I did one of the drum tracks here, and the rest we did back in L.A. But it was a completely layered record, and I threw it together. I mixed it in L.A. and that's it. So
it is a beautiful.
She did a couple of videos and they filmed her and her daughter Gael. They filmed here at the house. It's kind of on a hill with beautiful landscapes. So it's a couple of videos out there to go along with everything. So.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful record, nice mellow grooves. And, I'm curious, Dave, you said that you kind of knew that Clivia was a singer. Clivia, did you listen to Dave's music prior to meeting him? Were you into the stuff he was doing with Chick Corea and Mike Stern? And
this is a funny story. First of all, thank you for inviting me here, and me and Dave.
Our pleasure.
Cool, really cool.
Our pleasure.
And then about the story, when I was 14, actually, maybe before that, I was listening to this Chick Corea, one of my friends gave me a chance to listen to this Electric band, but I didn't know anything of Dave and the guys. I was new in the jazz world at that time, at that age. And then when the guys of my band, where I was playing in the South, they said, we go to this gig of Mike Stern and then the clinic of Dave Weckl. Who? For 5 times, I didn't know who he was, the name. I mean, I'm not the drummer fan,
This was fast forward to 2009.
Yes.
Right? So, yeah.
But after that, and then when I saw him, I fell in love soon.
Awesome. And what music did you bond over? Because, Dave, I know growing up, you were like a rock guy turned jazz guy, right?
Well, in the very beginning, I was playing to rock records, but because of my father, I got into jazz pretty early. I mean, it was because he was a piano player that messed around with ragtime stuff. So there was, he had Pete Fountain records playing, and
oh, nice.
And then he brought home a Buddy Rich record when I was 12, I think, and that was really kind of me diving in and just getting into the jazz side of things. So but I had always loved the rock aspect of it, you know. So, but yeah, I would say that I kind of went the jazz direction at a pretty early age. But
So was Buddy Rich kind of the jumping off point? And who else did you get into to kind of cultivate a style early
well,
on?
you know, actually, Jack Sperling was really my first
Mm,
big influence. That played with Pete Fountain and you know, many others. He was just a
yeah.
phenomenal drummer, and he played so clean, and you could really, it was easy to copy, you know. And so I just learned everything I could from Jack, and then he brought the Buddy record home, and I was like, what?
That's a whole different spectrum of the instrument. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, but yeah, he was really the one that inspired I would say the the crazy, you know, obsession with it all. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what, as your ear developed, what were you listening to that you really admired in drummers? Because I'm a trumpet player, and for
Oh,
me,
nice.
you know, it's clean lines, fluid tonguing. That's my thing. That's what I really hone in on. You know, the high notes, you know,
Yeah.
I appreciate them, but somebody with a real clean, smooth line. So, what were things that your ears naturally gravitated to?
Well,
Um,
I don't think I realized this until later because obviously you know, Buddy's technical ability is still unsurpassed today, and
right.
what he was able to do on the instrument, and so I was always attracted to the precision, to somebody that just could do that kind of stuff. Um, but really, you know, it comes down to, for me, the emotional aspect that's put through the instrument.
Right.
And I don't think Buddy ever got a lot of credit for that in when he was doing it. He did later, but when he was doing it, it was all about his chops, and it was like, man, you're missing the whole point, you know, because it was all about the emotion, putting the emotion through the instrument. I
Mm,
mean, he was comical on the drums.
right.
He was angry. He was sensual. He had all this stuff going on. And so a lot of other drummers that I really, really aspired to be like and listen to, like Steve Gadd and, you know, and Vinny and Peter Erskine, and you know, the list goes on of also the, you know, the history of all the guys that played like that. Philly Joe Jones,
Yeah.
you know, with all the jazz guys that I got into later, actually. You know, it's that emotional aspect combined with the precision that's what really turns me on in a drum.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And how about you, Clivia? What, you know, I hear some Ella in your voice, you know, with some of the
Oh,
scatting that you do on the disc. So I'm curious, who were some of your vocal influences
you
growing up?
said that the first
Okay,
was Ella. I
nailed it.
fell in love with her, and then Sarah Vaughan and all the big singers, and then starting with them when I was 14, and then I met Diana Krall or all the other new
Wow.
singers. You know,
Yeah.
I love them, and then I was let my daughter sleep with Diana Krall actually,
I remember that. Yeah.
with the music. So that was my influence. Yeah, since I was 14 that I met the jazz. Thank to my friend that it said, "Oh, listen to this. That's about trumpet players. You know, they were beautiful. These trumpets they were playing like, oh, it was giving me goosebumps. It was great."
Very nice. Very nice. Well, Dave, you mentioned you have played with a whole litany of people. So I wanted to try a little experiment here, a little game. We're going to share some images of people you have played with. And if you have any, you know, stories or what it was like to play with them. And I'd also love to hear
Nice.
Clivia's impressions on the music, because I guarantee Clivia had heard some of this stuff as well. So I'm going to start a screen share here. And number one is going to be, here we go. Simon and Garfunkel, the 1983 reunion tour. You were on this record and tour, correct, Dave?
Well, there wasn't a record actually.
Oh, that's right. I'm thinking of the Central
Yeah.
Park one. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Steve Gadd was usually doing all those gigs, and he had taken some time off, and I was lucky enough to get this call, and you know, that's why it's, you know, for this record that we did, you know, and this brings up the topic. I love playing with singers. I love
Right.
to be able to play behind great singers, you know, to give that support. So people that hear this record, they may not even know it's me. It's like I'm playing brushes on half of it, and if not
Right.
most of it. And but playing behind Paul and Art, you know, and Paul was the main songwriter, of course.
Right.
And man, just to play that music and try to make it work, you know. And of course, I was kind of sitting in Steve's chair, so that was intimidating to begin with. I mean, I was 23 when I did this gig, so
Wow.
And I was just trying to do it, and I never took my eyes off Richard T because I knew Richard, the musical director, piano player that left us way too soon. He was just a big teddy bear that I loved so much, and he was great. But yeah, playing that tour, I went basically out of doing club dates into that 7.5 week tour. So it was just like here up to there, and like
Unbelievable.
wow,
No, and I've heard that Paul really knew his music inside out and knew the little adjustments that each player could make to kind of fit what he heard.
Yeah, he would be rehearsing, and he would kind of just walk around and listen and look and listen and say stop. And
Right.
He'd go to what he was hearing, and basically, and it happened to me one time, not on that tour, but it happened to me later when I did some gigs in the early '90s. And he heard something I was doing that just wasn't working for him, and he sat there and worked with me for probably 45 minutes, to get the groove with the brushes.
Wow.
And of course, like I said, Steve is like the master at playing these brush grooves, man. And I didn't, at that age, I didn't practice enough brushes. I still kind of suck at it. I'm not that great. So
I don't know about that, Dave.
And I actually got Steve to give me a lesson in a hotel room one time in Japan. I begged him. I said, Steve, please give me a lesson. He showed me his hip thing. I was like, wow, no wonder it feels so great the way he does
Wow.
it. But,
Very cool.
But yeah, that was a fun moment with Paul.
Paul is one of my favorite songwriters of all time. I put him up there in the pantheon with Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen. Clivia, how about you? How did Paul's lyrics? How do you feel about them?
I was so young when I was hearing this music, and I said, wow, what a beautiful song. But actually, then after I met these old singers of jazz, I left them.
Aha. Once you found jazz.
Yes,
Yeah.
I left that. I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
Paul.
I'm
Sorry,
but I left. And then I just followed the singers and everything else. But it's beautiful song they did write. I mean, I heard some of the version that the other guys, singers, they do. It's unbelievable. They make great the song. Yeah.
Very cool.
Great songs. Yeah.
All right, next on the list is here you are with the Electric Band. This is semi-recent. This is more recent, but you've been with the Electric Band for a while. It was 85 when you joined that group, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So what was Chick like as a leader? Because he is, in my opinion, one of the most inventive modern songwriters in terms of the jazz idiom. Really with how he can tell a story through his music. So I'm curious if he's really specific about how he wants the music to sound, or if it's kind of more free-flowing.
A little bit of both. First of all, Chick has been and was and still is one of the greatest leaders that I've ever worked for, one of the greatest musicians I've ever worked with, one of the most prolific songwriters that I've ever heard. And it's he told us the story one time of one of the songs on Eye of the Beholder, and I'm spacing on the name of it now, but he said that he woke up out of a dreaming the song, had to get up, go and write it down. It was the entire song.
Wow.
I was like,
I believe it.
okay.
From him, I believe it.
But yeah, that shot on screen is actually from my drum cam. I mixed that show. I remember it. I took the video and did the production on that, and that was one of the gigs from, like you said, a recent tour. Maybe a couple of years ago. It might have been in Thailand or something. But
Right.
But yeah, this the guys in this band. I mean, 1985 is when John and I. It was that trio that you're looking at right there. It was the nucleus and the original,
Right.
formation of the Electric Band. It started as a trio, and of course, the end result, the other guys that you don't really see are Eric Marienthal and Frank Mbali. And what a chemistry this band has. And in fact, we're, if this pandemic ever goes away, we've got some gigs booked, and there's things that are going to start happening again next year. There's Chick's all excited about the Electric Band. He's getting his masters back. He's going to release some stuff from the, and some new stuff, and hopefully we do another record. So it's still going. It's
Yeah.
great. He's
Yeah.
just incredible. It's great.
We had Chick on the show, and yeah, this is something he was so excited for, is the reunion of this band and getting it back together. Clivia, do you recall the first time you met Chick?
Oh, I was in another planet.
Yeah.
When I met them, you know, all these guys have something really in the soul, you know, that you recognize like light and then original, there's positivity and beautiful energy, you know, that like you and everybody else. But Chic, I mean, it's really something else. I mean, I cannot describe. I feel in another planet when he plays, and I feel this perfect harmony with the universe. That's what I feel about the music of Chick.
Yeah.
Every time they play together, I mean, the music's fantastic, but when they do play the music, it's perfect. It's perfect harmony with the universe. That's what
Absolutely.
I feel.
And
Yes.
nicer guy does not exist. No, Chick is just the
really.
best.
I mean, perfect.
Yep. All right. We'll end with this one. You also brought him up. This is a very young Steve Gadd here. Jeff, can we pull that one up? There we go. A very young Steve Gadd. But, you know, you played with him, you know, right against him pretty much on Master Plan, your album from 1990. There was a track you did squaring up against him. What was it like to play side by side two drummers with Steve Gadd on that album?
Well, first of all, Brian, I have to correct you. There's a word, not against, with.
With. That's right. That's right.
I was attempting to play with Steve. Okay. No, I'll tell you about the sessions. Very specific, because the first time I ever heard Steve play, I was 16, and I was in a parking lot in St. Louis, hanging with Tom and Ray Kennedy. And Ray was Tom's brother that passed away also way too soon. But we were in the parking lot. I think we were there to see Maynard Ferguson with Peter Erskine, and and Ray says, "Hey, come here for a minute. I got something for you to hear." And I had only known about big band drummers and I was into Billy Cobham and some fusion stuff, but hadn't heard any of this. And he puts this on, and I had never heard anything like it in my life. And I'm pretty sure it was Humpty Dumpty off the Leprechaun record.
Nice.
Or Mad Hatter, whichever record that song is on. And Steve's sound and the way he played, like I said, the precision, the articulation, the emotion. And I heard that, and it was like, holy cow, this is like, I just, at that point, I started to, go and find everything I could with Steve on it. So, later, fast forward to what you're talking about here. When I was doing that record, I asked Chick, I said, would you write a song for me and Steve? I want to recreate the session that you guys did when I first heard him, at the same studio, Mad Hatter Studios. I want to recreate it with the same bass player, Anthony Jackson, and you, and I want to put myself and my partner, Jay Oliver, that was writing all the other stuff, and I wanted to put myself in the middle of that session. Same engineer, Bernie Kirsch, recording.
Wow, yeah.
And it was just like, oh, man. And I remember I was as sick as a dog. I had such a bad cold. It was just horrible, but Steve was so gracious, and we spent a lot of time talking about the parts and how to work out and who would take the lead and who would follow. But we really didn't talk about anything specific. It was very spontaneous. It was a very spontaneous session. So it was just awesome. It was, I can't tell you how awesome it was. It was like great.
Beautiful.
And,
yeah.
Yeah. Really
playing with your idol, and if you were sick, that was like your Michael Jordan flu game, man, when he won the championship with the flu. So.
But, there wasn't anything going to stop me from doing that session.
Playing with Steve. Right on. Well, hey, we're talking about the new EP. It would be awesome if we could hear a tune from it. And I know you've got the brushes nearby. I'm stalling a little bit because I want people watching. Dave and Clivia are about to perform. So if you think there's someone who would really want to see this, go ahead and click that share button. Let them know, because this is going to be a really kind of intimate, cool, exclusive performance. Is that all right, guys? If we...
Yeah, are you asking us? Yeah, I mean, we could do a little bit. Yeah, where it's, we don't have George Whitty here and everything.
It's impromptu.
But let me just say, we put these songs together, and the first one on the record is "Learning How to Fly," right? And that is a Tuck and Patty tune, and you chose that because.
Who did ask? Why you
Because
ask me?
I'm leading up to the song that we're going to actually do. You know?
Yeah, it's all the story about this coming out for the music that I left to raise my beautiful daughters, Andrea. And so learning how to fly is like how to walk out
Right.
again.
And then the second one
Is
it Let's Stay Together or
Love You Inside
it
Out.
is Love You Inside Out.
Don't remember.
We don't remember the order of our own songs. Anyway, all right. So the one that we were going to do just a little snippet of here is
We cannot be
Love You
far.
Inside Out, and you'll notice this is authentic Italian pizza box. Okay.
Love it.
From
Tasty.
last night. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Love You Inside Out. All these arrangements that we did, that George did, that George Wood
George
did.
Whitney, yeah.
But you kind of set the vibe with the tempos that she wanted and the keys, of course, and after that it was and she actually kind of made me do some drum
Oh
parts.
yeah, Let's Stay Together. He
We'll
came
talk.
up with this genius version after a little bit of fight that I had to,
Yeah, we did
to
a
push
record-
him a little bit.
We
push-
did
do
a record
this.
together and we're still married. It's amazing.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm glad you did, Clivia, because that is one of my
Yes.
favorite songs on the album.
Really? Let's Stay Together.
Yeah.
He plays so this.
It does.
Really, I said do this and do that. Oh, let me know when I play. That's
So but
yeah, but he came up with this beautiful, beautiful version.
yeah, it's something
The
for
drums.
the drummers to think about too, because it's it's you have to listen to the vocalist when you're trying to get something that they're hearing to support how they want to sing. That's what I mean about playing behind a vocalist. It's not just the crazy fusion stuff or just being on your own with instrumentalists. It's about really supporting so that they can voice what they want to voice. But I mean that's important with any soloist or any
Right.
musician really, that for a drummer that you're playing behind, but especially behind a vocalist, you have to figure out what makes them comfortable, what makes the groove happen, what makes the feel happen. So yeah, Love You Inside Out, we did it nothing like the Bee Gees did it, of course, and you'll have to check it out. You'll have to get the record or watch the video and that
Yep.
type of thing. But it's kind of like
I ain't no vision, I'm the girl who loves you inside and out, backwards and forwards with my heart hanging out. I love no other way. What am I gonna do if we lose that fire?
yeah. Yeah, baby. You're great.
Yeah, you're great.
Very nice.
That's it.
Very
That's
nice.
a performance.
I love
Check
it.
out the record for the rest of
That's exactly right. And it is out right now. It can be purchased on your website, right, Clivia?
Yes, cliviatanisimusic.com.
Beautiful. And is it
Yeah.
streaming or is it strictly purchase? Okay.
Yeah, it's
It is
out there.
streaming.
It's TuneCore put it all over the place. It's on Spotify. It's on
Yeah.
Apple
Cool.
Music,
All the
it's,
digital stores, yeah.
But now is the time to buy. Let's buy this record. At least buy these. I was going to say physical record, but this one's a streamer. Yeah, and let's support artists around the world. Now is most certainly the time because those gigs are few and far between. Yeah, a really nice kind of like curation of material on this disc. Let's Stay Together, as I mentioned, is one of my favorites on the album, might be my favorite. And I think it might have to do with the groove, Dave. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this song was co-written by a drummer, right? Al Jackson Jr.?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
believe so.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They called him the human timekeeper, just for his deep, deep pocket. Dave, are some people just born with like metronome brains? Or how do you cultivate that? How do you strengthen that muscle?
It's a good question. When I teach, either in my school, I have an online school, and I also do some private lessons, and I always try to teach students to think about time from a more natural, organic place of correlating it to how we walk down the street, or when we're doing something that we're really not consciously thinking of, that how body motion dictates, the time and the tempo because of spatial content. Is what we're doing. We're putting space, between the steps. It's not the steps themselves that create the tempo. It's what we're doing with our body with the space. So it's the same thing with the drums. So I always try to, talk about flowing motions and get a consistent spatial thing going between the tempos. So whether it's, whether some people are better than that than others, I don't know. I don't think so, really, honestly. I think maybe what some people might be a little bit better at is adapting the non-disconnect between what's going on in that natural organic place and the physical. But I think that's also just time investment. It's about spending the time doing something so much and for so long that the muscle memory is just natural. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Another great track on this EP is Grandma's Hands by Bill Withers, who we recently lost, but was, in my opinion, a vocalist, just so unique, so idiosyncratic, wrote with really strong, just natural, descriptive language. When I think great lyricists, he's certainly up there in the top 10, 5, 3, maybe. Clivia, have you ever done your own songwriting? Have you tried writing your own lyrics?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm trying.
You're trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do something. It's in the back now. It's secret now, but I'm trying to do something. But it's early. It's early to say yes.
In your opinion, though, what makes for a great lyric, and who are some of your favorite songwriters for their lyrics?
That's difficult. Any song that speaks about love and love for everything, love, even the shows, the love, even the rock song, they talk about love. Actually, I'm in love with one song that you don't know. Anyway, there's this song. It's a rock song, for workout actually, and it talks about love, and it's beautiful. Everything that is love involved, the love for the life, love for the people, love for the humanity and universe, everything that for me it's a great song.
Totally. I agree with you 100%. It's an emotion we all feel, and it's one of the positive ones. People have written great songs about some of the darker stuff, but a good love song, something we can all feel. Dave, a lot of people, when they talk about you, fusion icon is the term they use. I feel, though, with fusion, you can kind of separate it into 2 or even 3, kind of eras, because the stuff you were doing in the 80s, 90s, would you say that it had a different feel than, say, what Miles was doing in the 70s and what fusion was like then? I guess what I'm asking is fusion too broad of a word for jazz that's mixed with other things?
Well, I mean, what you just said, though, actually describes what it actually is. It's the definition of the word. I mean, it is fusing a lot of different styles together, which is, I think sometimes people hear the word fusion and then they just associate it with like an era or a certain thing, which is, I don't like that. No, it's like trying to put a label on anything, it just puts it classifies it too hard. It puts it into too narrow of a tunnel. So, for me, the aspect of fusion is, it kind of means no rules to me, in a sense, because it's fusing a lot of things together, and it's up for grabs as far as what the artist kind of considers it to be. For me, the fusion aspect is being able to do the things that I love to do with different styles of music. I love the groove aspect. I'm a big fan of Latin music, so a lot of my stuff has Latin influence. There's rock and roll influence, and of course there's jazz and bebop and the triplet and all that type of feel in the music too. So, that's what it means to me is just being able to fuse all of those styles together. And certainly that's what Herbie was doing back then. He was taking the rock and funk elements and putting them into jazz, and Mike Clark was playing, he was playing jazz funk stuff that was killing. It was great. It was unbelievable. And we're all still trying to figure out what he was doing on that. Fucking none of us can play it. I won't say none of us, but it's It's
rarefied air.
Vinny does
Yes.
a pretty good job. So, but just fantastic. And then of course Chick had Return to Forever, and Mahavishnu
Right.
with John McLaughlin. It's like George Duke, Billy Cobham. All these guys were doing all these great fusion bands back in the '70s, and then yes, there was just so much of it going on, and that's Billy Cobham's Spectrum was the reason I got turned on to Michael Brecker, which led to the Brecker brothers with Randy and Michael,
Right.
and so there's that whole lineage, and it's just it's jazz, rock, funk. In my case, Latin gets thrown
Yep.
in there a lot, like I said. So
Yeah. It's
of
kind of,
elements.
it's jazz adapting to the, some of the popular music of the day, and obviously that's going to shift. That identity is going to shift across time. Yeah.
But you asked me too, the stuff I was doing in the '80s with Jay Oliver. I mean, we came out of the computer generation
Right.
era, and for me, growing up in New York in the '80s, trying to get into the studio business, we had to sound like a machine, otherwise we didn't get work. So I had to really be precise and do that kind of stuff.
Right.
And my buddy Jay was getting into programming and the sequencers, and and all that stuff was just dead nuts on. You had to be so, otherwise you're flamming and it doesn't sound right. So everything we did back then was kind of coming out of that mindset. We liked reverb a lot, like everybody in the '80s.
In the '80s, yeah.
I still like reverb, probably too much, but is what it is. I'm sorry.
That's your sound, man. I dig it.
Emotion,
I dig it. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
So,
Very cool. Hey,
I
Clivia.
prefer to call it ambience instead of reverb.
Reverb by any other name, Dave.
Right.
Clivia, I kind of want to end with this before we get into some audience questions, and I think we have one or two. But for anyone, in your position thinking of making a comeback, maybe they played for a while and then for whatever reason had to take a break. Maybe they've never recorded and have wanted to finally get back into the instrument or put an album out. What advice do you have just about overcoming, say, those early challenges or some of those early fears of getting back on the bicycle?
What is my thoughts, you mean?
Yeah, for coming back, you took a break for a while to raise your kids. And do you have any advice for anyone else
Yes.
in a similar position?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have the advice to don't give up. Never. Because when you give up, it's kind of you're living your life in a place like hell. So if you feel to do something, don't ever give up. Never. Don't do that. So just keep going. That's what Dave was telling me all the time, when we were together. He was kind of pushing me to go back. But I was in the place where I was feeling bad, maybe no courage, lots of fears. He says, lots of afraid. I was really afraid, and then after a while, if you don't do, the universe or God, if you believe in something, it pushes you to do it. So it's better to not die and don't do what you feel to do. So don't give up. Never.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, we are going to, like I said, take some questions from the audience. Before we do, though, Dave, you mentioned Fusion. You mentioned Chick. You may dig this, man. This is our summer 2020 issue. A very, very young Chick Corea on the cover. We have a nice cover story with Chick Corea in there. This has already been mailed to subscribers. It's on their coffee tables in their mailboxes, but all the content for people watching who may want to read this story, it's available online. You'll need a digital subscription to read it, but we're offering a special rate right now for just 99 cents per month for 3 months. You can unlock unlimited digital access to our website, read all of those stories, plus previous print issue stories. And for our next issue coming out in the fall, we'll enroll you to receive a complimentary issue. So 3 months of digital access plus 1 free print issue. Right now, that's the special offer. All right, producer Jeff, do we have a question or two from the audience? Okay, Jonathan Harrington wants to know. Hey, Jonathan. Dave, when recording your own projects, do you try to achieve a great drum mix before a successful take, or do you go for the mix after a successful take?
Well, first of all, hey, Jonathan. What's up?
Hey, Jonathan.
Good to see you, man. I don't think about the mix at all, really, per se, until I'm done. I'm I have the vision of the drum sound in my head when I'm doing a project. So in the recording phase, I make sure that first I'm sounding good on the acoustic instrument, that I have the instrument sounding the way that I want it to. So, excuse me, so that when I touch it and I'm able to get my vision out through the instrument itself, and then I just have to make sure that it's captured correctly. I don't use I might use a little bit of EQ going in because I usually record my own stuff. So at this stage, and if I'm not, I'll suggest to an engineer because I know my snare, for example, is a little bit on the dull side. It's a brass shell that I usually use, so I prefer to have a little bit of high end on that, for example. So I'll pre-EQ some stuff. I never use compression going in. So yeah, and actually my system won't allow me to think too much about mix stuff when I'm doing it, because I'm on a Pro Tools HD native system, which doesn't allow any plugins basically to track without problems. So it's pretty raw. So I make sure that the drums, my room is set, the mics are set, everything is in the recording phase is captured correctly, so the mix phase is not so difficult.
Cool. Well, thank you for the question, Jonathan. Hope that helped. Somebody had a question. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it up, but it was about Master Plan. And, I've read in some of your interviews that you felt Master Plan, this is your album from 1990, was kind of, this was really where you reached you broke ground as a drummer, so to say, kind of achieved a new style and some new developments. I'm curious, how was that the case? What kind of new technical approach did you discover with that album?
Wow, I wouldn't. It's so hard to talk about yourself, especially 30 years. When is this? 40 years ago? I don't even know anymore. No, 30 years. I'm not that old.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I mean, it was yesterday.
Yeah. It was only yesterday. Yeah.
No, with that record, it was kind of more about. Like I said, Jay and I were partners in the project that kind of led up to that record, which was an instructional product called Contemporary Drummer +1. And so we kind of honed in our ability to record on very cheap equipment, by the way. We did this all, except for the title track, which we did, I already told you, with Chick in that studio. We did all the rest of it in Jay's studio in St. Louis, which you've been to. You saw the room where we recorded all that stuff. And we did it on a Tax Scorpion board and, 1/2-inch, analog tape with a lot of DBX and compression and reverb, lots of reverb. Maybe 4 or 5.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah. And so it was just an opportunity to really, explore our compositional aspect of what we wanted to do. Like I said, in our idea of the fusion aspect of the styles that we wanted to write in. So it was a very diverse record, which most of mine are. It's I never had much luck with radio play, as is the case with a lot of fusion jazz guys, because the records don't really fit a formula or a platform.
Right.
But we weren't going for that. We were going for, this is our stuff and here it is. So a lot of. I have to tell a story. There's when I was living in Mount Vernon, New York at the time, when that record happened, my neighbor was a really old, sweet man that said, my kid used to play. I got some drums upstairs, so I had in the attic. And he gave me this snare drum that was a Kent snare drum. I mean, this thing was probably $45 at Sears at some point.
Wow.
And it had a very thick head on the bottom, a Remo Emperor head, right, a snare side head. And the top head, and this drum was just, it was a wood drum, 8-lug drum, and I put a new head on it, and I played it, and it just had this vibe. So I used it on most of the record, including Tower of Inspiration and any of the other stuff. I didn't use it on Master Plan, though. I think that was my piccolo, the Yamaha piccolo. But that drum was most of the core of the drum sound on that, which was mixed way too loud. But it's I kind of wish I had the opportunity to go back and remix that.
The cheap little attic drum. No, I love that. Hey, if Charlie Parker can record on a plastic sax, why not? Very cool. Very cool. We will end with this question, and then I will let you two go to bed, I promise. It is from Fernando. And he says, how do you balance your career with marriage? You have lots of tours and busy all year.
Yeah. Well,
how do you make it work?
Hi, Fernando. Fernando's in my school, and he's an incredible.
Ciao, Fernando.
He's an incredible drummer, Fernando.
Very cool. Hey, Fernando.
Yeah, it's never easy, man. It's never easy to balance music and life. It's always a struggle. But I have to say that finding someone that understands and appreciates what you do and has enough of their own thing going on as well really helps. I mean, Clivia is she's so supportive and so understanding. I mean, listen, we've been long distance for 11 years basically.
Wow.
We're back and forth and just kind of crossing and doing all this type of meeting here and meeting there, and it's my third time around, her third time around. So this time we're kind of just chill, and like I said, we support each other in what we're trying to do, but this. Like I said, the pandemic was not in the plans, so not for anybody, obviously.
Right.
So that put a little bit of a crimp into our usual meeting style. But yeah, it's a struggle because as musicians, especially when we're trying to hone a thing that takes technical practice, like I said, to hone the muscle memory, you got to spend time doing it, man. There's just not another way around.
Yeah, but how you manage to keep your wife next to you? Maybe Fernando wants to know that.
Right? You're just Fernando? Good old charming Dave.
I mean, how you do?
It's the drums.
Partner, man.
There it is.
Love your partner, support.
You love your partner. That's it.
That's it.
Beautiful. And well, the new album is a just beautiful document to this special thing you got going. Love's Way Back. It is out right now. Just a brilliant EP. Go stream it, but more importantly, go buy it. Thanks to you both so much for joining me for the last call at the wee hours of the morning over there. I sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, we're very, very, very thankful and happy to be here, Brian. Thanks for having us.
Yes, and, we were excited to do this.
And we hope everybody out there watching is healthy and can get through all of this crazy stuff and stay positive and be well. And,
cheers to that once again. Exactly. Well, I will say goodbye to you guys. I'll see you backstage. I'm going to sign off with people watching at home. But thank you again. It was our pleasure for having you. Thanks for going one last round with the last call. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow. So thank you to Dave and Clivia for joining us on the last call. Again, that EP, Love's Way Back, it is out right now. You're definitely going to want to go check it out. As a matter of fact, that's where our sponsors, Cambridge Audio, come in. You're going to want to listen to this EP a lot. So why not do so with Cambridge Audio, makers of some of the finest audio equipment in the world. Check out their incredibly stylish premium Alva TT, the world's first Bluetooth aptX HD turntable that lets you put the turntable anywhere in the room. All right. Well, thank you for watching tonight. If you like what you saw, go ahead and follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. We come to you every night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. It's been a pleasure having you with us. I am going to shut down the bar here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. I'm Brian Zimmerman. Thanks for watching, everyone. So long.